Guessing it's a hinge of sorts. Anyone know how old? Upstate New York. The photographs show an antique decorative door hinge attached to a piece of moss-covered wood. This is a typical example of late 19th century architectural hardware, circa 1870 to 1900. Such hinges were commonly used in Victorian and Gothic houses in the northeastern United States, including New York. The hinge is cast from iron or bronze and is richly decorated with ornaments, floral motifs, geometric patterns, and stylized turrets at the ends. They resemble the spires of castles or cathedrals. These decorative elements not only served an aesthetic function, but also emphasized the status of the homeowner. In the era before mass production of fittings, such products were often made by hand or in small batches, and could be ordered. The find with a fragment of wood and moss suggests that this loop has been in the open air or in an abandoned building for a long time. Now such artifacts are valued as vintage decorative elements and collectibles. If you found it in the Middle Granville region, it is quite consistent with the style of architecture of those times. Houses were built there with tall windows, carved architraves, and heavy fittings similar to your find. Borrowing car. Is this recording our convos? I'm house-sitting for someone and they let me use their car. But I found this on both sides of the interior and I'm just curious what it does. Record conversations? Tracks locations? IDC Technology et al. There are 2 of them and I'm in Europe. The photo shows a small device attached to the front pillar of the car. Judging by its appearance, it is an ultrasonic animal repeller, most likely rodents. What indicates this? Compact housing with a grill and a hole for the speaker. The LED indicator, usually red, is typical for such devices. A power connection via cable, often from a cigarette lighter or directly to the onboard power supply. No lens or holes for microphones/cameras. Why is it needed? This device emits ultrasound, which is inaudible to humans, but unpleasant to mice, rats, and other small animals. This is a fairly common practice in Europe, especially in winter, when rodents can climb into the engine compartment and damage the wiring. Important: this is not a recording device or a tracking system. It is not capable of recording conversations and does not have a GPS module. If you see 2 such devices, it's possible that one is for scaring off from the driver's side, the other from the passenger side. Conclusion: you can rest assured, this is just a simple protection against unwanted passengers. It does not conduct any surveillance or speech recording. I found this thing in my garage, and it looks a lot like an old keyboard. What could it be? The photos show an old Burroughs mechanical calculating machine, presumably from the 1930s and 40s. This is not a keyboard or a typewriter, but a mechanical calculator that was used by accountants, cashiers, and office workers before the advent of electronic calculators. What kind of device is this? This model is an adding machine from Burroughs Adding Machine Company, a company founded in 1886 that became one of the largest manufacturers of office equipment in the early 20th century. How it worked: the user entered numbers using vertical rows of keys, each column corresponding to a single digit of the place value, ones, tens, hundreds, etc. Pressing a key would lock the corresponding number. Using the side lever on the right, values could be added or subtracted, and the result was displayed on a mechanical display. These devices did not print receipts, but they could be connected to printing mechanisms. Historical value: this is one of the predecessors of modern calculators and computers. Burroughs devices were used in banks, accounting, and government agencies. Today, these machines are of interest to retro technology collectors and museum exhibits. Why is it in a garage? These devices often ended up in private possession after being decommissioned by organizations. Someone might have kept it as a memento or used it as a paperweight until they forgot about it altogether. Although it's covered in dust and leaves, it's a true piece of computing history. What is this doohickey? Tall brown pole with a solar panel and antenna on top. Looks like it's for something underground? Tucked behind some dumpsters at an apartment complex. The photos show a device installed behind a fence next to garbage containers. This is a garbage monitoring station designed to remotely monitor the level of garbage in the containers. Here's how it works. What is this device? It is a standalone waste monitoring system. It consists of a vertical housing, possibly concealing sensors or a transmitter, an antenna for transmitting data via cellular or LoRa communication, or a solar panel for power supply, an internal weight or volume sensor installed under the container or on its walls. How it works: 1. Measurement. Internal sensors, usually ultrasonic or load cells, measure the level of debris or the weight of the container. 2. Power supply. A solar panel provides continuous operation of the system without connecting it to an electrical power supply. 3. Data transmission. Information about the container's fill level is transmitted to the management company's server. 4. Cleaning automation. When the container is full, the system sends a signal to the maintenance service. Why it is important: optimization of cleaning routes. Machines go out only when necessary, which saves fuel and time. Or preventing overflow, especially important for residential complexes and urban areas. Sustainable waste management, part of smart city solutions, smart city tech. Why behind the fence? Such devices are installed in places where they are protected from vandalism and direct interference. Often they are placed near containers, but inside fences or service areas. This is not a surveillance camera or a communication tower. This is an example of the implementation of automation technologies in everyday infrastructure. Wooden box/case 36 inches by 12 inches by 18 inches, one drawer with slots, hinged lid, decorative metal filigree and keyed lock. Not super heavy grandfather's old box. I am guessing it had a specific purpose. The photographs show an antique wooden box, probably of the late 19th, early 20th century, made of oak or walnut, with decorative carvings and metal fittings. Judging by the size, the internal structure and the drawer with dividers, it's not just a casket or a chest. It's most likely the case of an antique music box with replaceable cylinders. What is this item? This is the case of a mechanical music box or jukebox, designed to play melodies using metal cylinders equipped with spikes. Such devices were popular before the advent of gramophones. Signs confirming this: a drawer with dividers, ideal for storing cylinders with melodies, each of which contained a set of programmed sounds. Thick upholstery inside the main compartment. In the original there was a mechanism here, a cylinder, a comb with tabs and a spring drive. A decorative overlay on the front. It was often used in musical instruments of that time as an element of prestigious performance. A keyhole and key, to protect the expensive mechanism from children or uninvited guests. How it worked: 1. A metal cylinder with a melody was installed in the main compartment. 2. While rotating, he clung to the metal tongues, comb with spikes, making sounds. 3. The drive was carried out using a winding spring. 4. The user could change the cylinders, like cassettes or records. Historical background: a peak of popularity, the second half of the 19th century to the beginning of the 20th. Similar music boxes were produced in Switzerland, France, Germany, and the USA. There were both small household models and large furniture vending machines with replaceable melodies. If there is at least some mechanism left inside or traces of cylinders, sockets, screws, recesses, then this definitely confirms the musical purpose. Even if the mechanism itself is lost, the case is still of collector's value. I saw this when I was in my homework class. I'm pretty sure I have a hunch about what it is, but I want to get confirmation from someone else, right? You are absolutely right. These are not elements for BDSM or secret storage, but temporary fixators, usually called furniture transport fixators, plugs with straps or holders of decorative elements. What is it specifically? A round pad with a textile or rubber tape is a fixator for temporary fixation of the structural parts of the bed during a transportation, for example, to prevent the headboard from wobbling, assembly and disassembly, or to hold the canopy slash. Where it is used: on the corners of 4-post beds, to temporarily secure fabric curtains, mosquito nets, and other textiles. In showrooms and during furniture delivery, to hold frames, sides, and posts in place. Sometimes they stay after installation if you forget to remove them. Why they stayed? Most likely, the owner simply did not remove them after assembling the furniture or left them to support the future canopy. They do not affect functionality, but aesthetically they may be superfluous. Pushpin conclusion: these are ordinary furniture fixators, not part of the storage system, not hidden hooks, and certainly not something indecent. If they are not in use, they can be safely removed. Huge cylindrical object on a trailer near Houston, metal with angular bits of a different textured metal, some sort of column on top, wondering what this might be for. Assuming some sort of industrial component, especially since we were near Houston. It was massive. took up every inch of the highway lane hanging off the trailer, maybe a bit over. The photo shows a large diameter industrial component transported on a low-profile trailer. Based on its shape, markings, and design elements, it is likely to be a rotor or drum for industrial crushing/separation equipment purpose, used in the oil and gas, processing, or chemical industries for grinding, mixing, or centrifuging materials. Features that indicate this: a metal cylinder with protruding blades on the sides. These are not decorative elements, but elements similar to the internal rotor blades that rotate inside the housing. A central column with pink dampers on top. This may be part of a connecting shaft or a support rod covered with protective material. Markings: 5X, 9X, 4X. These are temporary construction marks or designations for welding and assembly processes. A material: polished steel, typical for containers where hygiene is important, for example, when working with oil, chemicals, or food components. Location: Houston, one of the world centers of oil and gas and heavy industry, which reinforces the assumption of petrochemical purpose. Possible purposes: 1. Drum separator or crusher, for primary processing of solid rocks, oil sludge, or 2. Centrifuge or mixing unit, as part of a large chemical reactor. 3. Gas separation equipment, if there are phase separators inside. 4. Furnace/dehydrator rotor, in petrochemical or waste processing. Underneath the steering wheel in the car I just bought, what could it be? The photo shows a compact black unit installed under the car's steering wheel, near the pedals. This is not a standard car component. Based on its design and location, it appears to be part of an older radar detection system, likely manufactured by Whistler, a popular brand of radar detectors in the 1990s and early 2000s. The button and light indicator suggest that it is the control module of a device that alerted drivers to the presence of police radar systems. It emitted a distinctive beep when it detected radiation in the Q, K, and X bands. Previously, these devices were useful, but with the development of modern police technologies, laser radars, and digital cameras, their effectiveness has significantly decreased. Today, these units are more commonly found in older vehicles and serve more as a nostalgic or decorative feature rather than a practical one. The installation under the steering wheel was designed to provide easy access for the driver to enable/disable or mute the alert sound. What is this? Attached to all tires on a large passenger bus. The photo shows the wheel of a large bus with a metal hose attached and a spring attachment leading to the central part of the hub. It is a part of the Centralized Tire Pumping System, CTIS, Central Tire Inflation System. Such systems allow you to automatically maintain the set tire pressure in real time. This is especially important for commercial and passenger transport, where the same pressure is critical for safety, tire wear, and fuel efficiency. In case of pressure loss, the system can compensate for the leak on the move, and when stopped, it can signal a malfunction. The hose leading to the hub is connected to an air distributor that regulates the pressure separately for each wheel. This also allows you to adapt the tires to different road conditions. For example, reduce off-road pressure for better grip or increase it on the highway to save fuel and stability. Such a node is a sign of advanced transportation technology, especially on military, construction, and bus equipment. Found this under the sink in my hotel bathroom. No idea what this is, some kind of water sensor or alarm. The photo shows a small white cylinder with the words React Mobile written on it, installed under a sink in a hotel room. This device is part of an emergency alert system developed by React Mobile and is primarily used to ensure the safety of hotel staff. This beacon is a Bluetooth base that works in conjunction with an alarm button worn by employees, such as maids or maintenance staff, on their belts or wrists. In the event of a dangerous situation, whether it's a threat from a guest, an accident, or another emergency, an employee can press a button, and the alarm will be immediately transmitted through the nearest beacon. The device captures the exact location, allowing security personnel or managers to respond quickly and provide assistance. These beacons are strategically placed throughout the building, such as under sinks, behind cabinets, or under beds, to ensure privacy for guests while maintaining a consistent coverage area for signal detection. It's not a camera, microphone, or guest tracker. It doesn't collect personal information. His only task is to work in conjunction with the security system of the hotel staff and increase the level of protection of employees. Systems like React Mobile are being actively implemented in many hotel chains around the world today. This is one of the standards of the modern hotel industry in terms of occupational safety and rapid response.